So in this video, we're going to talk about Stan Dragoti's film, Dirty Little Billy. So this is a 1972 revisionist Western. Theoretically, telling a very loose version of the early life of Billy the Kid, one of the most famous Western outlaws, somebody who I find really, really interesting. It is set in Coffeyville, Kansas, and Billy the Kid actually did live in Kansas for a brief period of time, I believe. I think it was a brief period of time. I know he lived in Kansas. So there are a few things that are right here. Billy the Kid was born in New York City to Irish Catholic parents. My cat's screaming. I'm sorry if the mic's picking that up. They did move west. I think initially they moved in Illinois. I want to say Springfield, Illinois, but I may be wrong about that. Billy's dad then died when he was about 12. His mother, so his father was, his family name was McCarthy. His mother then met a guy named William Antrim, and they moved from Illinois to Kansas, if I've got this timeline right. They moved from Illinois to Kansas, and then they moved from Kansas to New Mexico. And in New Mexico, when Billy was about 13 or 14, his mother died, and William Antrim abandoned Billy and his brother, and I think his own kids, and basically was just like, yeah, peace out, kids. Best of luck out here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Hope you do fine. Billy started staying at a boarding house and committed his first crimes at about age 14. He robbed a Chinese laundry with a friend. They fled to Arizona, where Billy committed more crimes, and then he fled back to New Mexico, and then kicked off his real life of crime around the time he got involved with the Regulators, one of the factions who would participate in the Lincoln County War. In the film Dirty Little Billy, Billy is about 17, even though he's played amazingly by Michael J. Pollard, a great actor, who was 33 at the time, and so quite old to be playing a 17-year-old, but hey, that's TV and movies, folks. So in theory, Billy Bonney, Billy McCarthy, whatever name he is going by at a particular time, Billy the Kid is not thrilled to be living in Coffeyville, Kansas. He does not want to be a farmer. Absolutely opposed to being a farmer. His dad is big on the farm lifestyle. They've saved all their money. This is what they really want. Billy hates farming. And so his dad is kind of basically like, hey man, you can fuck off up out of here if you don't want to be a farmer. And so Billy's like, fine, I'm going to do that. And he's in this sort of weird space where theoretically he wants to go back to New York City, but he gets on a train. He hitches a ride on a train where the guy's like, yeah, we'll take you back east, no worries. And then Billy jumps off and walks back to Coffeyville. It doesn't make... So he's in this sort of weird space where theoretically he wants to leave, but he keeps not leaving when he has the opportunity. He goes and sort of becomes the protege. He manages to sort of work his way toward being the protege of a guy named Goldie, played by Richard Evans. Really good performance as well. Although there's a lot of domestic abuse there between Goldie and Burl, played by Lee Purcell. Burl is, I guess, the one prostitute in town, but also Goldie's. She is the Bonnie to his Clyde. Um, Goldie is an alcoholic. He is a theoretically card player or roulette dealer. He's also fairly violent. He does randomly shoot people or shoot at people since he's not a great shot. He randomly shoots at people who he believes are cheating or have accused him of cheating at cards or things like this. He also does beat Burl a number of times, and so not fantastic. Billy does on occasion stand up for Burl. He seems to have kind of a crush on her, but it's also kind of not fully developed. It seems to be somewhere between a sort of brother-sister type relationship, but also they do have sex. So, yeah, it's an odd relationship. While this is going on, Ben Antrim, who is the sort of the fictionalized version of William Antrim, who was the real person that Billy's mother eventually married as her second husband. Ben Antrim is trying to expand Coffeyville, get it to be, enough people to be a Class 3 city so they can have a mayor, a town council, and an official law officer. He is making a ton of money in this town, theoretically. He's not real thrilled that Goldie is there. He's not real thrilled that Billy has sort of taken up as Goldie's, again, protege, I guess is the best term for it. But there's a lot of sort of just random violence that happens. Not a lot of people get killed, surprisingly, for a movie that's theoretically this sort of gritty, violent exploration of how Billy the Kid became Billy the Kid. Not that many people actually get killed. It's more just sort of people being shot at rather than really shot. There's a fight, for instance, between some, I don't know, traders or railroad workers, people who are, for whatever reason, covered in buffalo dung, as Goldie keeps saying. Goldie shoots at the biggest guy repeatedly and misses. Billy tries to shoot him with his own gun, but it explodes in his hand. Burl stabs him, and then she has a knife fight with that guy's girlfriend, which Burl more or less wins. They cut up each other's hands a little bit, but then Burl sort of slashes her arm and slices her face. So it's this sort of random, pointless violence that doesn't have much to do with the actual plot or development of the movie. And that's kind of the pacing of the movie. There's not much that really sort of purposefully moves the conflict forward. It's kind of, and in a way, I think that's actually a really interesting approach, because in a way, the thesis of the film, like the tagline of the film is Billy the Kid was a punk. And if we're thinking like early British punk, like Sex Pistols, people like this, there is that sense of like ennui of the purposeless rebellion, rebel without a cause type thing. This just sort of angst about society, and that seems to be what Billy has. But again, because it's not directed in any particular way, the movie doesn't feel teleological, right? In the sense, it doesn't feel like it has an end point it really wants to get to. Theoretically, there are goals. Goldie has a scheme with Charlie Nile. Um, they are going to go out and meet this guy who sort of steals cattle and then sells it to the army, and they're going to work with him, and they're going to get some money, and they're going to go to Goldie wants to go to Silver City. Billy theoretically wants to go back to New York City, though he had the opportunity and didn't take it. So there is this sort of this sense of like being stuck in this place, partially by choice, oddly enough. And so, again, I think that sort of pacing, that sense of like almost claustrophobia in the town, but like the way that the characters elect to stay in that claustrophobic space, I think does really kind of fit with the kind of punk ethos of the early to mid 70s, as punk was sort of developing as an um, alternative youth movement to things like hippie culture and disco and stuff like this. Is it a good movie? No, I don't know that it's a good movie. It's not a historically accurate representation of the life of Billy the Kid, certainly. Um, I don't think it's a bad movie, but it's not my favorite portrayal of Billy the Kid, even though I really like Michael J. Pollard. Really, really good performance. Um, I feel like it just, because the movie doesn't seem to go anywhere or do much of anything, kind of feel unfulfilled by